Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about riding in a motorcycle group. So oftentimes I ride by myself, and maybe I ride with one to two other friends, so max size group 3 about. Oftentimes I ride with one other person, and then probably the majority I ride by myself. And so maybe that describes you. I feel like that's pretty typical. But you know, it's fun to go out and ride with groups or meet up at bike nights and things like that. So I want to talk about this is being as the first time that I went out and rode with a really large group. So this was probably about 100 plus motorcycles on this group ride, and so I just want to talk about, about 5 things that it's good to know. So the first thing that I think it's really good to know if you're going to be out on one of these larger group rides is the hand signals and foot signals. So there are lots of videos talking about this, trying to explain it. I'm not going to go into detail about what they all mean. I'm just going to say, if you're going to be out on a motorcycle group ride that's that large, it's a good thing to know all those hand signals. And especially be comfortable using them. If you're a new rider, being able to take a foot off the peg and say, hey, there's something in the road there or whatever. And so it's fine, just if you're new, practice it, make sure you can take a hand off, and that you're not just white knuckling the handlebars or something the whole time. So very good to know all the hand signals, what they mean, be able to pass them along. The group I rode with, I thought, used excessive signals. It felt like they were foot signaling every, like maybe 2 times a minute, like every 30 seconds or something. It felt like they would just be like, oh, hey, there's a gutter drain there. And it was like, wow, this is almost like faking you out, where it's not that big of a deal. Not that many people are riding like way over here right on the line, like just about to go into the gutter or something, like driving on the on that curb. So anyway, I would just say be comfortable, know what they are, be ready to pass them back, because that's the polite thing to do. But you might not need to be inventing your own or pointing out extra things that aren't actually helpful to the group. And then number 2 is going to be about making sure that you are riding an appropriate bike for the group. So if you're going to ride with a new group, and there are lots of groups advertising on meetup.com, Facebook, Instagram, lots of different sites where you can find groups to ride with, it's a good idea to research the group pretty well. And so that's going to mean several different things. And part of that could be, what kind of bikes are they riding? So if you're meeting up with a group that's going to be riding all 1000cc liter bikes, and if they have a rules page or something like that, their rules say things like, no excessive speeding or things like that, or if they say like we'll maintain a brisk pace, it's good things to kind of get an idea of what you're getting yourself into. Because for this group I rode with, it was lots of 600cc, 1000cc sport bikes, FZ07s, MT07s, MT09s, bikes that all had more than 50 horsepower, let's say. And so if I rode something like this, like a CRF 250L, I would not have been able to keep up with them very well, because their rules page said no wide open throttle, no full throttle, no excessive speeding, but they do maintain a fast pace. And so we were on a back road that was a 55 mile per hour speed limit back road. They were doing about 80, and then we got on a highway doing about 90-ish. And so this bike, I don't think that this bike can do 90 miles an hour, and if it can do 80, it really struggles to get there. It takes a really long time. So that's just something to make sure you're actually going to be enjoying the group ride, make sure you're actually having fun with it, is that you actually have the power to keep up with the people you're riding with. So especially if you're a beginner on a beginner bike, there were maybe 1 or 2 people on R3s there, you know, but if you're riding with a group like that, just be ready to wring the bike's neck a little bit, and that's totally okay, but you just want to be comfortable on it and not, you know, your first month of riding that bike probably. So research the group. I'll also say there's some other good things about researching the group, where like, do they actually enforce these rules? Do they care about the rules? It's hard to tell who all's coming. On Facebook, people can RSVP to events, but I'll say, you know, this group actually met up with another group and then rode, and that group, like, tons of people open carrying handguns, things like that. So good thing to just know, like, who are you meeting up with if you're not comfortable with that. You know, it doesn't bother me. I don't really care. Live your life. This is America, and you're allowed to in this part of the country. But just a good thing to know, kind of who you're meeting up with, and what they might be about. And so oftentimes people talk about riding your own ride, and that is important. So if you are don't you love hitting red lights like this? So if you are newer to riding, or new to riding, if you're new to riding, probably don't ride in another group, but if you're newer to riding, you know, ride your own ride applies still. He appreciates it. You know, ride your own ride still applies, and this just means ride within your limits. If people are going too fast, if there's, you know, too much craziness going on, it's okay to slow down and be the slowest person in the group. And there's no shame in that. It's far better, even if you have to pull over, or you know, find a time to kind of get yourself out of the group and just ride to the destination on your own. You know, sometimes these group rides are going to restaurants or bars or whatever, and if you just need to kind of get yourself out of that group or move towards the back, you can give people a signal to move up ahead of you, and there is no shame in that. That is entirely okay. It's far better to make it there later than everyone else, and still make it. So ride your own ride. Don't be afraid of being the last one there. Alright, so the 2 more things I'd suggest would be, when you're starting off, pick a reasonable spot in the group for your skills and your bike. So if I went to that, you know, kind of reasonably fast ride on this, I should be probably very far towards the back. If I was to be out front, I would be ruining everyone's ride, and there would be probably a very big gap between the leader and me. So probably better off to be near the back, where people don't want to go fast as badly. And so you'll just have to feel that out, what your capabilities are. You know, the first group ride you might be uncomfortable, but by the second one, and you figure out the group you're riding with a lot better, you'll be a lot more comfortable that next time. And then this is one that nobody really talks about, I feel like, when they talk about riding in a group, but I think it's really worthwhile to mention that when you're riding in one of these big groups, you know, say 25 plus bikes, 100 bikes. This one was over 100 bikes, and especially lots of sport bikes. And everyone has a modified exhaust. You're probably not going to hear your own engine. And so you should definitely make sure that you're comfortable starting from a stop, and you know, just all that kind of stuff. Just comfortable with your bike without being able to hear anything. So if you're used to riding a stock bike, stock exhaust, where you can't really hear anything anyway, maybe it's a super smooth bike so you don't get a lot of vibration, maybe even you don't have a tachometer like this bike, you should just be comfortable and make sure you're not going to be stalling, because you're going to have so much kind of vibration coming through your body that might throw you off a little bit from all the other bike exhausts. And so it's just worthwhile to make sure you're good stopping from a start without stalling. You know, give it, you know, a healthy amount of revs. Make sure you can feel your bike, because when you have the exhaust notes of tons and tons of bikes coming at you, you might not be able to distinguish which one is your own. And so you just got to make sure you got the clutch and transition. Because when I rode with this group, we came to a couple portions where we stopped, and then everyone scooted forward a little bit by a little bit, and you know, a couple people were stalling, and it's just like, okay, well, you gotta keep on moving. And so, you know, just be aware of that when you're inundated with noise. It's almost like being at, not quite, but almost like being at a track day, or like a NASCAR race or something like that, where you're just getting so much exhaust sound kind of shaking your body. So just be aware of that. But anyway, these are 5 things I took away from my first group ride. Did you have any things you would add? Anyone out there, especially who rides a lot with a group, feel free to leave them below in the comments. That's all for me. Thanks for watching.